and welcome back to the FSeries channel. You have been blessed with another video from us, and today we're going to be doing our 2022 predictions. So let us know in the comments if you agree or disagree. If you enjoy this video, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe down below. Pop that bell notification on as well so you're notified when we do decide to post, and we're just gonna get straight into it. Firstly, we're just gonna do some random predictions. So like most overtakes of the season, because we did see that F1 created that brand new graphic last year, and I think, who was it that won in the end? Was it Fernando Alonso? Sebastian Vettel?
Seb, it was Seb, I think, yeah.
Yeah, so Seb won that with like 100 and something overtakes in the season. Ladies, who do we think it's going to be this year that's taking home that award?
Oh, I was trying to think of I don't think it's going to be Seb this year. I don't know. I think they are. You got to think of a team that is going to kind of qualify, kind of around P12 or something. Yeah, but then you've also got to think of a driver that can build themselves back up. Like we know someone, Valtteri Bottas, is not great at building himself through the field. But obviously you don't want to say somebody like George Russell, who is going to be at the top of the grid. So I am kind of inclined to. I want to say maybe Sebastian Vettel, because I think that Aston Martin is kind of going to be a little bit lower. But again, also an Alpine, I'm not 100% convinced on them this year. I don't want to say the two people from last year, but I feel like it honestly could be, because I feel like maybe somebody like, so I was going to say like an AlphaTauri, but they will probably qualify better. So I'm probably still going to stick with maybe Sebastian Vettel, Fernando Alonso, maybe Esteban Ocon, somebody who's going to qualify down there but build themselves up. Maybe a Haas, Mick, who knows? I've said everyone. I've said everyone.
Good start. Good start.
I'm gonna say Alex Albon.
Oh yeah, forgot about him.
I feel like Williams are gonna be better, but not the best. Yeah. So I feel like they're probably gonna be around like the P7 constructors area. So that means that they can actually overtake. And obviously last year we saw the car improve when they actually got points. So I'm just thinking, we've seen Alex Albon before. Do I think he can probably overtake a little bit better than Nicholas Latifi? Yes. Do I think Williams are going to be better than last year? Yeah, so I'm going to say Alex Albon.
Ooh, that's a really good one. I don't like this game. Why has it come to me? I think it will be an Alpine. Maybe Esteban. Maybe I'll say Esteban to be different.
He was going to be my second choice, because I just don't know if they're going to do very good.
I don't think it's that Alpine are going to be bad. I just think that there are a lot of teams who are going to do really, really well. So by default, they're just going to be the ones that end up. I reckon they'll be out in Q2, but then be able to kind of like move it forward. So yeah, we'll go with Esteban. Okay, let's do next one. We did this one last year as well, most DNFs. I definitely remember saying that it was going to be Mick who got the most DNFs last year. I don't know who it was in the end. But who do we think it's going to be this year?
I feel like you're going to need to go for somebody who is kind of going to be in that mid-pack. I'm even inclined to say somebody like not at the back. Maybe Guan Yu Zhou might have a problem. So I do feel like you're going to need someone like in the middle. Maybe Guan Yu Zhou. I don't want to say Guan Yu Zhou. I feel like he could keep himself out of it, but then maybe he couldn't. Like, I don't know if he's going to be in that dangerous territory of driving with people that can't make the corner. Do you know what I mean? I don't know.
I think I don't know. I was going to say Lance Stroll. I don't even know why. I can't justify it. Oh God, I don't.
That's
honestly,
just a gut instinct. I respect that.
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna have to go with Lance Stroll, because that's what my gut told me. I just really hope Aston Martin will be better, but I just don't know. And I just think, like what Kira says, they're probably gonna be end of Q2, maybe even Q1, and they are gonna be at the back with drivers that can't drive, because obviously they wouldn't be in Formula 1 otherwise, but they're just going to go for it. So I'm going to say Lance Stroll. I mean, I feel sorry for Lance, because I actually quite like him, but yeah, he's my choice.
I'm going Alonso. I don't think the Alpine reliability is going to be top notch. You know,
true.
I'm a bit worried about it. So
well, it did go puff, didn't it?
Yeah, it did go puff.
Did.
Yeah.
And hopefully no sandwich bags getting stuck in brake ducts this year. But yeah, I'm going to go with Lando. Okay, good stuff. I like that we're all going different as well. Okay.
Yeah.
Next one is spiciest team rivalry.
Oh yay. Well, you can look at it two ways. You can look at it either as like Haas last season, when it was like Mick and Nikita like not having a good relationship, and then that coming out on track, or you can look at it as in Carlos and Charles, who are two very, very good drivers in a team that's probably going to be really, really good this year. And even at the end of last season, you saw Charles take the lead off of a corner, and when Carlos was trying to overtake him, and Carlos go on the radio saying he needs to give him that place back immediately, and he was very foot down, I want that place back. So I think Ferrari could be spicy, just because I think that their car is very good this year, and I think they will be very good. I also, I don't want to say Merc, because that's not in my brain. I'm not going to say them because I want them to be good. But I think Ferrari, pray to God it's not, but I think McLaren, because I just think if Daniel doesn't suit up, then it's going to be, I'm not happy with Lando maybe getting the team orders because he's doing better. Or it's going to be Daniel actually gets back on form and Lando's not going to like it because he had the upper hand last year, and it's going to be quite spicy. So I do think it's probably Ferrari and McLaren I'm going to go for.
Yeah, I think I'm going to actually agree. We've got our first little, same answer moment. And I think it is going to be Ferrari, because we know that Carlos Sainz really brought it last year to Charles Leclerc, and we know that Ferrari's plans were to have Carlos Sainz kind of as a seat filler for a couple of years before Mick Schumacher was able to come up into the top team. I feel like Mick, if this is the second season and maybe the final season at Haas, Carlos Sainz isn't going to want to give up his seat at the end of the day. He's going to want to fight for it. I don't know if maybe as we get to silly season in summer, maybe that's going to create some tension in the fact that I think Carlos Sainz and Charles will be very close in terms of points, how they're driving, poles, all that sort of stuff. So I feel like that's going to cause some tension with Carlos Sainz being like, hey, I'm not doing anything wrong here. And then Ferrari kind of trying to hide that they're not going to sign Mick, but they might sign Mick. Again, it might not happen. They're not very good at that, are they? It might not happen. They might put Mick in Haas for another year, but I think they do want him up to that top team. And I think that might cause some friction there with Charles being like, well, I'm still here. And Carlos being like, well, why am I still not here? So maybe that might cause something. But again, even if that doesn't cause something, I think it might be them two anyway, just because they are so similar in terms of their driving ability, how many points they get at the end of the season, where they finish, things like that.
Yeah, I'm agreeing again, but we've said this countless times actually, that Ferrari is going to be very, very spicy. I'm surprised they didn't come to blows more in the 2021 season, but I think once there's a competitive package underneath them, which we predict there to be this year, I think it will pop off between them. I definitely don't think it will be Mercedes. I actually really think they're going to be a very peaceful team, because I don't see why there would be conflict. Why would George Russell want to incite conflict when he knows that he's going to be with Mercedes for his long-term future? And yeah, Mercedes have always been fair in terms of giving whoever is doing better preferential treatment after a certain point in the season. It just so happens that it's always been Lewis. So I don't know. I'm interested. I don't think there's going to be a spicy battle between McLaren. Really, I don't see that happening.
I just want to know what they're going to bring, because I want Daniel to be more competitive, and that sounds so stupid because it's Daniel Ricciardo. Like, we know he's been in the sport for so long. And I just don't know how Lando's going to cope if Daniel is competitive, from going like sort of behind the scenes with Carlos and then being the top dog, from not being in a number one sense but doing better. And then if Daniel comes back on par, I'm just like, I don't know, but I think it's going to be Ferrari.
It's a very interesting one. We'll have to come back to this one at the end of the season. Next one is most pole positions. Who is going to end up with that DHL pole position award at the end of the season? Because last year it was Max. I think, what was it, like 10 pole positions? It was ridiculous.
Pole positions.
I think this one is a really hard one as well, because we don't know who's going to be like competitive, and if there's a lot of people that are competitive, then it could be split in terms of like who gets a lot of pole positions. So this one's a good one. I like this one.
It is difficult because I still just don't know who's going to beat the one lap pace of the Mercedes. I know that the regulations have changed. I know that some things could change, but the Mercedes any year, even when they had Red Bull coming up, I just feel like the Mercedes always just looked better on a one lap, and it always looked so much more controlled. And I feel like, I am the biggest fan of a one lap of Lewis, and George Russell, if you watch his technique, he has adapted that from Lewis as he's came up the grid. And I feel like how they are and how they can take a lap in a one lap situation is just better than other people. Like, you do a little, on the Sky Pad, you do a little comparison. The way that they take a lap is just it's incredible. Even when George was doing this in a Williams or in an ART in Formula 2. So I've got to say maybe George Russell. And I mean, I'm really difficult because I really can't differentiate who's going to be better between Lewis and George this season. So maybe I could see George probably doing it. I don't know, George or Lewis. I think it's still going to be Mercedes.
Yeah, I'm going to agree because as soon as she said that, I was like George Russell. I just think the way he can work the car, like we saw him, I know it was P2 in Spa and it was raining and stuff like that, but you saw he put the maximum in that. When he was in the Mercedes in Sakir, maximum in that, so close again. So I am going to say George Russell, but I do think we're going to see at least like 5 different people getting pole positions this year. I generally do think that's how like close this year could be. I'm not going to say they're going to be like following each other around like it's predicted, but I do think we can expect like teams like Mercedes, Red Bull, McLaren, Ferrari, and then maybe just a surprise one again. You know, like when Lando Norris got pole, like I just am expecting like at least 5 different teams to get a pole position.
Wow, bold statement. I like that. I'm very surprised that you guys think George is going to out-qualify Lewis over the course of the season. Like that's a shock to me because I think you're both like big Lewis hype.
Oh,
people.
we're bigger.
Yeah,
I think we
I'm
might
sure
be.
you
I
can.
think we might be bigger, George. To be honest, watch us this season. I can't lie to you. Me and Charlotte are going to go off about George
Kira
Russell.
says she's a bigger George fan. Well,
No.
she's got a picture of Lewis Hamilton right behind her.
I'm going to edit George's face there and said, no, I just think because of the way he takes a lap, I don't know, like I've seen him with Formula 2 who don't have power steering and he can still like proper do it. I don't know, I feel like he's got the edge. I don't know.
I know that George Russell is Mr. Saturday, but I just think Lewis Hamilton with over 100, like Lewis Hamilton, I don't think can be beat over a 1 lap period. Like he's just so quick. But I am gonna not say Lewis. I'm gonna say Charles Leclerc because he's also very unbeatable on a 1 lap pace. He got the most poles in 2019. Now we're not going to talk about Ferrari's alleged illegal engine or not, but you can just tell that once he's got a car underneath him, he has a lot of pace. And even this year, when that car was like the 4th fastest at the time, he got pole in Monaco and where was it, Baku?
Can't remember. Don't ask me.
He got 2 poles. And
Wow.
I think that's mega for the fact that he was not in a very quick car at the beginning of the season. So yeah, I reckon it's going to be Charles Leclerc.
You're like, no one can beat Lewis Hamilton. Oh my god, why have you said George and you've gone Charles Leclerc?
Because if they're in the same machinery, I still think that Lewis will beat George.
That's fair enough.
But you think Charles would beat Lewis
next
when
one.
he's in a Ferrari?
3, 2, 1.
Yeah. Because I think the
2 plus 2 is 4.
I think they'll be very close
Fast fan is
in
2.
pace.
Okay.
Next one we've got is the most fastest laps, which is quite similar to pole actually. We're talking about like 1 lap pace, but who's going to get it? Because I feel like pole position fastest lap is an interesting one over a race weekend. It can just be like who is not actually doing that well within the race and just stop to get the fastest lap. So who's it going to be? I vote Checo.
Yeah, I'm voting Checo as well.
Yeah, I mean, it could be like that. I mean, when I done my own predictions, I did say George Russell just because I feel like maybe if he is in a situation where he might be kind of how Valtteri Bottas was sometimes, not saying he's going to be like such a number 2 at Mercedes, but I feel like if he gets in a position where Lewis is off down the road and George is in a position where maybe he's P2, P3, but has the gap to stop, then maybe he will stop and then get the fastest lap. But again, it's strategically, isn't it? I feel like it's more so you're not looking at who's the fastest, you're looking at who's going to be in the right place strategically. So you're going to need somebody who is far enough ahead to be able to pit to then get a new fresh set of tyres on. And I don't quite think Checo is going to be in that situation this year where he's going to be able to do that. I feel like he's going to be in a mid-pack somewhere where it's tight. So you could even say somebody like maybe because I don't know, maybe there's going to be a Mercedes, Ferrari, McLaren, then a gap. So maybe you could say someone like Daniel Ricciardo or somebody like that is going to kind of be in their own bubble, just driving their own race.
Yeah, I think I was going to say Sergio because I just feel like they sacrificed him even if it's P6. Like when we saw at Silverstone, he was fucking
Dropped to
P6,
P10.
dropped to P10. Oh yeah, just for 1 point for Lewis, which obviously worked in the end. But now you've said McLaren, I could see it being Lando. I just feel like there's so many times in a race where Lando's just by himself and you just don't see him. Like I think Spa was a really good example, not last year, but the year before that, when he was like P4 the whole race and you just didn't see him because there was like a 30-second...
He broke down.
Oh yeah, when
it.
there was like a 30-second gap in front of him, but like a 30-second gap behind him. So I do feel like actually, yeah, it could be McLaren, and I do feel like it probably would be Lando Norris because I just feel like he's always in no man's land.
Bless him.
I'm still gonna go with Checo.
Okay.
I think they'll just do anything to help Max, so I'm not surprised.
Anyway, next one. This is the one that the girls were adamant we were going to put in, and this is the best haircut throughout the season. Now, you two are way more into this than I am, so just, I know Charlotte wants to talk about Carlos.
Yeah, well, me and Kira are very the same, because we've got the same brain cells, we do. But Carlos will have this haircut, like he'll get a haircut and he looks like macho man, like Spanish prince, and then you go through the season and it just gets longer and longer and he just looks like I don't know. So I just love the transformation from Carlos when he looks a bit like Shaggy from Scooby-Doo, like Seb right now. Yeah. And then all of a sudden it's like it's like was it Princess Diaries, where she's got massive curly hair and then they do that and it's like Spanish prince. So Carlos's hair is really nice, but I don't know who I think for the best haircut.
It's difficult because, like, as Charlotte said, Carlos just goes too long between his appointments. I don't know where his barber is, but he needs like an on-the-go barber because he can't keep it's like flicking. It's like longer than mine at that stage. So it won't be Carlos, it won't be Max, it won't be Esteban, it won't be George. I don't like the way he like quiffs up recently. Not the biggest fan.
Oh, Kez, I did ask Pierre if he was going to have the blonde bits back, and he did say he was considering
Pierre.
No, it's Pierre. And no, it's Pierre as long
as...
To
be fair, as well, Yuki did say he might get involved in the blonde tips.
Yuki's actually one of the forefront runners, because did you see that picture of him compared to last year to this year, his driver picture? Oh, he's turned into a man. That hair was lovely. I'm loving it. So I think the AlphaTauri boys are just going to be on a mission. They can both go blonde. They can both have a moment. But Pierre, as long as the wind is blowing the right way, it's looking good. If it blows the other way, we have a bit of a problem. But Pierre, if he's got blonde highlights and a bit of conditioner in there,
Do you know who else? I think anytime I see Mick, his hair is so good. Yeah. It's the same hairstyle, but it's so pristine.
Daniel Ricciardo.
Oh, yeah.
It's not quite Red Bull Daniel Ricciardo curls, but he is getting older. We've got to understand.
That was elite.
They're still lovely and curly, and he's still always got a nice little fade going up. So there's loads of options.
The fact that you said Pierre might consider get the blonde, I just got to vote Pierre because that's just my favourite hair ever.
Yeah.
Let's fingers crossed. Maybe he was lying to me. Okay. We're coming to the end of the video now, and it's time to talk Drivers Championship. Top 3. It's time. It's the big one.
Okay. I am gonna say. Do you want me to say all 3?
Yeah,
go. Right. So P3.
Start with third.
Yes. Oh yes. Build up the tension. So P3, I do think is going to be Carlos Sainz. He is such a beast. He is such a weapon. Okay. I just think if the Ferrari is as good as we think it's going to be, I think Carlos Sainz can outrace Daniel Ricciardo, Charles Leclerc, and Lando Norris. I do feel like Ferrari are going to be the P2 kind of car, if that makes sense. I think them and McLaren. I don't think Red Bull are quite going to be there, so I'm going to say Carlos Sainz for P3. For P2, I said the one and only George Russell. I think he's going to be up there. He's not going to be any lower. If Valtteri Bottas could come up, where did Valtteri finish? P3? Like, I think George can definitely be up there. And for P1, I have said Lewis Hamilton. I do think it's going to be close with Lewis and George. I feel like it's going to be how him and Valtteri were a couple of years ago, and it's just them up at the top. I obviously do think the drivers are going to be there as well, but I think there's probably going to be a little bit of a gap. And I have said Lewis to go over from George. I just think it's Lewis Hamilton. That is quite literally what I'm answer.
See, I don't want to say I agree, but when I did my predictions in like a little, I don't know, fill out a form prediction thing, I do want to say I want to go from P4 because I do want to just justify myself. I did put Max Verstappen P4, right? And I did put Carlos Sainz, and then I put George, and then I put Lewis, right? And I was going to be like, am I going to put George in P3 and put Carlos P2? Because I generally have this massive feeling that Carlos is just going to do great.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to be like, oh, Charlotte doesn't like Max, so she's putting in P4. But I generally do think that the way that Carlos drives, and if Ferrari finally have a good package, I just think he's going to be so good. And I just don't think Merc are going to drop that much, considering they didn't focus on 2021 like they did focus on 2022. So I have put George Russell second because I just think like it's Lewis Hamilton who needs to get his 8th, do you know what I mean? Not saying that George can't beat him, but I think Lewis will obviously win that. And I just think like we were saying before, like the dynamic at that team, I just think there's so much respect from George to Lewis. I think George is sitting there like, yeah, I want to win a championship, but I've got about 30 years and Lewis has about 4. So and Lewis might even have 2 or 1, do you know what I mean? So, but yeah, I have put Lewis, then George, then Carlos, so Lewis P1. Fingers crossed.
Ooh. Okay, I feel like those were very good answers, very well justified, I believe.
Thank you.
I'm going to go in P3, I'm going to put George. I don't think he's going to be second. I really don't think the Mercedes I hyped up Mercedes to do really, really well with the reg changes, but I don't necessarily think they're going to be as far ahead of everyone as we think. And because it's George's first year, I just don't think he's going to be at the level of Lewis straight away. In P2, I want to put Lando, which is rogue, but I do. I'm just going to do it, because why not? Why not? You only live once. And then, yeah, Lewis Hamilton is going to be in P1. So I think we're all quite unanimous in the fact that it's going to be Lewis Hamilton's year. I think he's going to be on a bit of a mad one.
Gonna get his revenge.
He's gonna get his revenge. Let's talk about constructors and do top 3 in constructors, because there's a lot of drivers, there's a lot of teams that we've been talking about, and I think it's going to be fairly unanimous between all of us.
Yeah, definitely. I think just it kind of flows quite nicely. I think I've put McLaren in P3 for the constructors. I think they always kind of are chasing Ferrari, and they kind of like similarly to last year, and Ferrari have kind of came out on top. I feel like they just have a slicer edge, and I feel like from the little we have seen from testing, I don't know when this video is going to come out, but we have just seen lap times. I feel like Ferrari might just be a little bit further ahead. So I'm going to say McLaren, then Ferrari, and then to top, I'm going to say Mercedes. I think even if you didn't have the presence of George Russell, of which you do, but Mercedes are going to be up there. Like Valtteri Bottas has been a weaker driver than I think George Russell will be, and they're still winning the constructors every single year. So I don't feel like that's going to change. So yeah, McLaren, Ferrari, then Mercedes.
Yeah, I put the same. I put McLaren, Ferrari, and Mercedes, just because, not even just from the lap times that we saw, the fact that George Russell has done interviews where he was like, the red car and the orange car are very, very quick, and we didn't expect them to be that quick. And I think that just shows you that George is in the best car. Like ultimately, he's in the Mercedes that's been so dominant for so many years, and for him to come out and be like, okay, they're a lot quicker than we thought. The only thing with Ferrari for me is they might have the package, but can they implement it? We know Ferrari aren't not very good, but their strategy can sometimes go all over the place. If the battle gets a little bit too tense between the two drivers, could they actually lose P3? But I have put them in P2 because I do think they are going to finish there. But I mean, we're just going to have to see how it goes. But I am hoping that I'm correct.
Yeah, I think that's a solid shout. I think we're very unanimous on our top 3. I think Ferrari and McLaren could actually switch places. I don't know, I just feel like the way McLaren kind of presented in the first test, they've come in, and all 3 teams have very different design philosophies, kind of, as you look at the car. So they've all kind of gone down a different angle. I'm excited for McLaren. I'm going to put them in P2 just to be different. I'll do Mercedes P1, McLaren P2, and then we'll do Ferrari P3, because I think the thing with Ferrari is they could have some intra-team dynamic problems, whereas I think that McLaren will be better in that aspect of things. So maybe we're going to have a Brazil 2019 and we're going to have 2 Ferraris crashing into each other.
My God, Muntestein!
Alright, well, I guess Kira's a linguistic
I'm
genius
German.
as well now.
Nobody, if anyone's German, don't listen to what I just said, because I definitely did not say it right.
Right, well, that is the end of the video. Let us know in the comments down below. We want to know your top 3 for the Constructors and the Drivers' Championships. But thank you all so much for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe. Make sure you follow us on Twitter and TikTok, as we are there daily. And yeah, we'll catch you when we next decide to come back to YouTube. Bye.
Bye.